to Real Talk, Real People. My name is Sofie Ziethen. I'm the CEO of Service Excellence, also known as the Action to Success Coach. And today I have the honor and real pleasure of hosting no one else but Ron Kaufman, New York Times bestselling author, as I refer to him, the service guru and also advocate of uplifting service. Now, Ron, before I ask you to share a couple of words with our network, it is a great pleasure talking to you about service excellence today. I think this is a topic that is close to both of our hearts. And yeah, I'll be just very curious about a couple of tips that you might have for the network, that you might have for people who are thriving or aiming to be service leaders one day. And we just discover of what does it actually mean, service excellence and service leader. So thank you very much for taking the time today, speaking with me. And I'll ask you the first question right away. Ron, what does service excellence mean to you?
Okay, great question. Great question. There's actually two questions in one. What is service? And number two is, what is excellence?
Absolutely.
So when I started working in the field of service, there was no clear, readily applicable definition that would work for frontline service, internal service, B2B service, B2C service. There was a lot of shallow language, like the customer's always right, or treat people the way you'd like to be treated, but nothing of sufficient stability that it could serve as a foundation for teaching people how to create better service. And so I ended up writing the definition. Service is taking action to create value for someone. Yeah. Now, if it's for yourself, if you're the someone, it's called self-service. If it's for a customer, it's called customer service. If you're taking action to create value for a colleague in another department, that's called internal service, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So then you could really teach people not just what it is that somebody else values, and then what action you would take to create the value, but then how do you create more value? Now we're looking at the excellence side. And many people think of excellence as a standard. And I'm saying, no, excellence is not a standard, because whatever your standard of excellence is, after a short time, it becomes not so excellent anymore. It becomes a commodity. It becomes copied by others. It becomes normal.
Yeah.
So then you're always looking to do better, do better, do better. So then the excellence is actually the momentum. It's the commitment to keep stepping up, to add more value, come up with new ideas, take new actions, improve the service that you provide.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. The two definitions in one, right? I must tell you that personally, I got introduced to the whole idea and concept of service and uplifting service a little bit more than a decade ago, when someone that is very special to me gifted me your book. And funnily enough, the first thing that I highlighted, old school, reading through books and not using, iPads or anything of that sort anymore, was your definition. And it was in the preface.
Since you highlighted it, would you read it, please? It's the part that's in italic.
I define service as taking action to take care of someone else. Or in commercial terms, service is taking action to create value for someone else. Absolutely.
Now, what's intriguing about that, and the reason I asked you to read it, is way back then, before we got to the version that was create value, even before that was taking care. And now, at this point in my life, I find that the entire area of study and teaching is evolving from the value to what is the care part of that. We can talk about that.
And there is something that you recently implemented, I believe, also about serve, care, and love. So I'll be intrigued about finding out more about this as well. It means when we train, when we upskill people to actually be able to take the right action to add value to someone else, that might happen in an online session, in a face-to-face event. But how do you sustain that? What happens if an organization comes to you and says, well, we found out that we lack in service, or we maybe haven't discovered yet of what we are lacking in, but we know that we need to come up with something new. And then what?
Yeah.
Like, how can we create or implement or sustain a culture that really keeps up momentum of uplifting service.
Yeah, the key is in what you just said there, that really keeps up the momentum of continuous improvement in service.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's never going to be enough to come up with a great new idea or skill your people on digital tools or improve your product and improve your pricing and improve your marketing. What you need is actually a culture that continuously is looking for ways to improve in all of those different areas. Now, that's a very different undertaking than any of the other pieces. In other words, building a strong culture that continuously improves is different than continuously improving your product.
Yeah.
Or continuously improving your platform, or continuously improving your pricing, or continuously improving your distribution. When you say continuously improving your culture of continuously improving, ooh, that's a big project. For which the training and development is a critical component, but so is the recruitment and onboarding, and so is the communications and recognition, and so is the voice of customer capture and service metrics, and so is, and on and on. And you know about the building blocks that I talk about in the book, and then the incredible role of leadership to have to not only be aligned about saying, yes, we agree this is important, but actually engaged in enabling it to happen on a regular basis and happen over and over and over again, which means you could have a leader of finance, a leader of IT, a leader of manufacturing, but they can't just be that anymore. Absolutely. They've got to be a leader of finance and continuous improvement, a leader of IT and continuous service improvement, a leader of manufacturing and continuous service improvement internally with colleagues as well as externally with customers.
Absolutely. Now, like, it's funny that you mentioned that, because in my experience of talking to national or international companies, there's a two-way street or experience that I had come across. Some of them say, oh, great, yeah, let's do that. Let's gear up. Let's do everything possible to create something, to sustain it. And let's be advocates of whatever the culture is that you are implementing that actually suits the organization and that actually helps them also. And then I've come across organizations or leaders of whatever level in the organization that say, oh yeah, great. It looks all great on paper. Let's start, let's implement, train the people, give them everything that they need, support them, coach them, whatever. And then when it comes to their part and them taking action, they're like, oh, this is a lot of work. Why do I need to do this?
You're going right to the nub of what causes large organizational cultural transformation projects to fail or to succeed. It's actually more like a fundamental requirement. I'm facing this right now with a very large client organization where I spoke to the CEO the other day. And I said, I need more dedicated time with the members of your leadership team. And he said, they're so busy. And I said, with respect, we've been working together now for quite a period of time, and they can't even tell me what the fundamental tools are that they want me to teach to everybody else. And then I paused and I said, and neither, sir, can you.
Yeah.
And there was, whoa, now you tell, how in the world are you going to actually bring about this cultural enablement and have it become your advantage when the leaders themselves aren't using the language, aren't asking other people to use the language, aren't teaching people how the tools work, aren't insisting on seeing those tools being applied?
But this is needed, you know, it is black and white. Either you take action or you don't. Today, when I talk to people and I say, well, this is what it takes. Either you do it or you don't do it. You've got to move along. You've got to advocate. You've got to positively talk about it and drive it. And driving not only by sending an email a couple of times, but actually speaking that language that you want to see and hear spoken. It is a very different response that I get today. And maybe this response is because of people are more aware of what is needed.
Sofie, you should take credit. You have changed. You have changed. I've known you now how many years?
About 6 years, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, you were a young, enthusiastic, let's play games, let's all be happy, look, everybody's smiling in the photograph. That was great. I did that for decades. But then you also become more mature when you start to realize, you know what, that was all good and people had a lot of fun, but it didn't produce a sustainable, effective result.
Absolutely.
The culture didn't shift. And then you start to value your time more, which I think is very important for those of us who are going to be leaders or educators or motivators.
So Ron, now tell me about that care a little bit more.
Sure.
You're talking about service and excellence
Yeah.
and culture. What does care mean to you?
So before I jump to that, I want to talk about the shift that occurred. Yeah. So when I first came to Singapore back in 1990, I was the young, enthusiastic game playing, get everybody to play. It was fantastic. And I got paid well for it and created a reputation, lots of client demand, but then started recognizing, wait a minute, what does it really take to build the culture? And then larger consulting projects would occur and customization projects. I could write the books like the one that you cited there earlier. And all of that was under the following premise: serve better, make your customers happy. They will be more loyal. They'll buy more. They'll refer. They'll recommend. Your top line will go up. Your bottom line will go up. Your brand will differentiate and you'll make more money. So if there was a tagline, it would have been Ron Kaufman: serve, differentiate, win.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That kind of competitive, in its worst case, it's things like crush the competition. Ouch. Ouch. We're all on the same planet here together. I think we've seen enough crushing going on for a long, long time. And we all realize in this particular era where inequalities on the planet are so transparent because of social media, where ecological crisis is so obvious and we're the ones that produced a lot of it, we can't just carry on. So then it can't just be serve, differentiate, win, like beat somebody else. It's got to be something that's more authentically deep. Yeah. And that's where I created serve as an expression of your commitment to care. And the reason that humans care is because of the mammalian phenomenon that we are. We give birth to live young and we have to take a lot of care of them in order for them to survive. And we're the ones who are the beneficiaries of generations and generations and generations that have been doing that. And why did they do it? Let's call it love.
Absolutely. So serve, care, love.
Love.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Ron, thank you for taking the time speaking to me today. Thank you for sharing so many valuable thoughts with our mutual network and all of the ones that are yet to join this amazing network. I wish you a wonderful start into 2022. I wish you lots of success, happiness. Thank you very much, Ron, for joining me today.
Thanks, Sofie. Bless you. And to all of your listeners, fans, and followers all over the world, stay tuned to Sofie. She's a great voice for the future.